chanting the holy name, just like at the moment we're reading about Ajamil in the Bhagavatam, and we can see even accidentally chanting the holy name, it saved them from such a fate worse than death. So with all this, it was interesting actually, because in Gaur Purnim one year, we'd just been doing a really intensive, I know it's Ram Navami and we're talking about Lord Chaitanya, but there's a connection. And so we did a really intensive couple of years of Gauranga campaign all over. It wasn't necessarily all legal stuff. And on Gaur Purnim, evening Arti at the old temple, everybody jumping up and down, shouting at the top of their voices, Gauranga, Gauranga, Gauranga. And the doorbell goes, Chief of Police of Strathclyde, is this where the Gauranga campaign's coming from? Don't know anything about it. He says, well, obviously, you've got like 30 devotees in that wee room jumping up and down shouting Gauranga. He says, well, anyway, I've just come to tell you to stop it. I said, okay, thanks. So he got the mercy on Gaur Purnim. He arrived at Gaur Arti, the Chief of Police, and he got the holy name. Actually, he was in quite a mellow mood. So after not only the devotees, but so many thousands or hundreds of thousands of people chanting Gauranga, for instance, I knew one man who turned out he was a school friend of Dhananjaya, the Prabhupada disciple. But I met him in a fishmonger in Dumfries. I wasn't going to buy fish, I was doing Sankirtan. And he said, oh, you Hare Krishna? Yeah. Oh, my friend, he was a Hare Krishna. All right, that's great. Okay, I'll take a book donation. All right, can you say Gauranga? All right, Gauranga. Yeah, any more of those stickers? Yeah. What do you want them for? He says, well, every Thursday I do a discount for the pensioners, so I'll get them to say Gauranga and they get a discount and they get a sticker, and then they post on his window. And he says, I said, so why are you so fired up? He says, oh, because every morning I go to the fish market in Glasgow and I'm just so depressed, but when I see the Gauranga bridge, then it just picks me up. I just shout Gauranga. He says, like the highlight of my day. It breaks the journey up. So just imagine how many people are going under those motorway bridges day after day. It's the main arteries between, when we're down in Yorkshire, between east and west, Hull to Liverpool, and then all the way from like the Midlands up to Scotland. So millions of people getting the holy name. So in 1996, the GBC meetings in Mayapur, it was discussed that the Gaurnitai deities in Berkeley, California, San Francisco, there was no one there to continue the worship any longer. In fact, there had been some fire on the altar. Even when they arrived, they were kind of fire damaged, not burnt, but smoke all over them. My wife would just tell me she had to clean them. She said, and it took like a full day to clean them. And within a year, they were repainted again. So on that, they asked, GBC asked us somebody who could look after these deities. So the Scottish Yatra offered to do that. And we thought it would take some time before things got organised, but within a few weeks. And it just so happened it was on Ram Navami that Lord Chaitanya appeared. Lord Chaitanya appeared, and on Ram Navami, which was significant because our main deity was Lord Ram for so many years, and he came on Ram Navami in the form of Lord Chaitanya also, showing us, there's no difference, and you've been calling for me, so the same deity who has been deity for all these years is now manifesting as Lord Chaitanya as well. So there's this Shishi Kodnitai Mahaprashashi, they arrived here, although they were installed already, and they arrived on Ram Navami, and we had the welcoming festival for them within a week. We had to build an altar. We had nothing prepared for them because it was totally out of the blue. And of course, they've had so many new outfits and so much jewellery, and everything we do is actually it's not only the devotees who are pujaris, who are doing personal service. Everything we do, whether we are first initiated, second initiated, not initiated, it's all service for the deities. It's all transcendental. And the Lord looks at everybody's service as valuable, just like we were saying the other day, when the spider was chucking the grains of sand into the ocean to help with the building of the bridge to Lanka. And was it Lakshman or Hanuman? Someone says Hanuman, yeah. Was saying, what's the point of you trying that? It's not going to make any difference. And Lord Ram says, no, his service is as valuable as everyone else's. And this is the transcendental mercy of the Lord, that he accepts our endeavour. So sometimes we compare ourselves to other people, but there's no need to do that. Compare ourselves to other people, then we might think we're better or we might think we're less, but it's nothing to do with anybody else, what we're doing. We have to do the best that we're doing. It's our devotional service, it's our offering to the Lord. Don't compare yourself to someone thinking, I'm just a waste of space, or they're a waste of space and I'm brilliant. It shouldn't be like that. We all try our best to do something to follow the mission of the Lord. And the Lord appreciates all our services. So I would just read a little bit from this. This was in 1969 in Hawaii, March 27th, Srila Prabhupada speaking on Lord Ramachandra's appearance. Ramadi Murti Shukhalani Yamen Atistan Nana Avatara Makarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pramanyo Govindamadi Purisham Tamahambhajami. This is a verse from Brahma Samhita in which the incarnation of Lord Ramachandra is described. Ramadi, not only Rama, but there are many other innumerable incarnations. They are compared with the waves of a river. As the waves of a river or the waves of the ocean cannot be counted, similarly, how many incarnations are there of the Supreme Lord it is not possible to count. But out of them, their principal names are mentioned in the Shastras. Therefore, it is said, Ramadi. Ramadi means Rama, and also other many incarnations. And they are existing, not that one incarnation appeared and it is finished. No, not like that. Just like Lord Ramachandra appeared on this planet, say millions of years before, he appeared in the Treta Yuga. Treta Yuga means we have passed only 5,000 years of this Kali Yuga. Before that, there was Dwapar Yuga, which means 800,000 years, and before that, the Treta Yuga, which continued for 1,200,000 of years. That means at least 2 million years before Lord Ramachandra appeared on this planet. So now Lord Ramachandra appeared in Ayodhya. There's a place in Ayodhya in northern India. There he appeared as Krishna appeared in Mathura. That is also northern India. And Mathura is about 90 miles down southward from New Delhi. So you have heard the name of New Delhi, the capital of India. So Ayodhya is also situated about 500 miles northeast of New Delhi. So Lord Ramachandra appeared on this day. Today is called Sri Rama Navami. On the 9th day of the moon, Lord Ramachandra appeared. His father was the king of Ayodhya, and he had 3 wives. He had 2 wives. So out of 2 wives, he got 4 sons. Ramachandra is the eldest. The life and activities of Lord Ramachandra are in the book called Ramayana. You've heard the name of Ramayana. Ramayana is also accepted as history. Vedic literatures are histories also. The Puranas, Srimad Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana. They are counted among the history. The history of Ramachandra is that his father wanted to retire, Maharaj Dasharat, and he decided to enthrone Lord Ramachandra and retire. So everything was settled, but just one day before, his youngest wife turned the whole thing into a different way. Sometimes Maharaj Dasharat was suffering from what is called whitlow, some trouble in the finger. And this queen served him very nicely, and he was pleased, and he said, "My dear Sharmishta, if you want some benediction from me, I can give you." And she replied that, "I shall ask you for the benediction when I require it, not now." So just one day before Lord Ramachandra's coronation, she approached her husband, Maharaj Dasharat, and reminded him, "My dear husband, you promised to give me some benediction, and I told you that I shall ask you when I require it." Maharaj Dasharat said, "Yes, I remember. You want some benediction just now?" She said, "Yes." "And what is that?" She said that Ramachandra cannot be seated on the throne. My son should be coronated Bharat. He was surprised. It is a big demand. So he said, "All right, that will be done, your son." Because formally the kings, not only formally, even up to date, there are many Kshatriya kings in India. They have more than one wife, and they are naturally, there is rivalry between different wives. So the same thing, human psychology is the same. Even 2 million years ago, the same mentality was there. And she asked that my son should be the king, not Ramachandra. Ramachandra happened to be the son of Kaushalya, the elder queen. So Prabhupada makes the point here that these emotions, experiences, attachments, psychology, it's not some kind of just modern thing. They've been existing. Human psychology has, with all its pros and cons, has been existing since time immemorial. Lust, anger, and greed are not something just pertaining to Kali Yuga. So Maharaj Dasha agreed and called for Ramachandra, my dear boy. She also asked that. She was very diplomatic. She wanted Ramachandra to go to forest for 14 years. The idea was political, that the king may agree to install my son just now. Now, after a few days, this Ramachandra may come with his army, and there may be some difficulty to continue the kingdom. So she wanted that Ramachandra go to the forest, and he should not come back till the end of 14 years from this day. So not only was he not allowed to be coronated, but he had to be banished to the forest so that he couldn't overthrow Bharat. She was thinking like that. Her mind had been contaminated by, who was it? Mantara. That's right. Just see, Gramya Katha, gossip. It's interesting though, because how long was it the Pandavas were not quarantined, exiled for? 14 years as well, wasn't it? Yeah, it was also 14 years. So just think, whenever the devotees have had COVID and they had to self-isolate for 10 or 14 days, it's not quite so bad as 14 years. And they did it willfully as well, because they had such adherence to setting an example in dharmic behavior. So Maharaj Dasharat agreed, because he was Kshatriya. Just see the promise. A Kshatriya never goes back from the promise, never refuses any challenge. If a Kshatriya is challenged by somebody that, I want to fight with you, he cannot refuse. This is Kshatriya spirit. He cannot say, I am now busy. Suppose somebody comes to you that I want to fight with you, you may say, what nonsense fight? I have no time. We're in the temple. So Prabhupada's telling us there, this is not our business. What nonsense is this? We're in the temple. Different life now. Even if before we might have done these things, then, not any longer. We take shelter in Krishna. Krishna's Ajita. He's unconquerable. That's the best martial arts, to surrender to Krishna. Mari Krishna Rakike, Raki Krishna Marike, isn't it? If Krishna wants to kill me, nobody can save me, and if Krishna wants to save me, nobody can kill me. So if we have that faith, try to develop that faith, and Krishna will protect us, even if he doesn't protect the body. So, but a Kshatriya cannot deny that. A Kshatriya at once must accept, oh yes, come on, and the weapon should be, if he has no sword or weapon, he should be supplied weapon and fight. That is Kshatriya spirit. They were highly charitable and chivalrous and keeping promise, and with a great tendency for ruling over, they shall rule over administrators, that is their business. They were also extremely tolerant, weren't they? Sometimes they take great austerities and personal punishment and difficulties for the sake of dharma. There are different prescriptions for different classes of men for their livelihood. The Brahmins, they can pull on their livelihood by 6 ways. Patana, yajana, dana, pratigraha. 6, and they must be qualified with 12 high qualities we have many times discussed. Out of that qualification, truthfulness is the first item for Brahmin. A Kshatriya may speak lies, that is allowed because he has to be diplomat, politician. But a Brahmin, he's not allowed to speak lie. That is the system, caste system or varnashram system. Everyone was trained, because these 4 classes of men are required in a society. For proper upkeep of society, 1 class of men must be intelligent, highly qualified, with all good qualities. They must be trained in that way, ideal character, so that people can see it and follow them. Therefore, Brahmins were taken to so much respect because their ideal character, learned and godly, they know the spiritual science, therefore they're held in high estimation and topmost of society. So then Prabhupada goes on to speak about the Varnashram. And goes on to speak about Kali Yuga, heads of society. Not that the headman, the chief man, or the commander is taking shelter backside, in other words, somewhere in the back, protecting himself, and poor soldiers are thrown into the fighting. This is Kali Yuga leaders. Okay, you go and fight, we're right behind you by about 500 miles. And then we'll give you a medal if you survive. We're seeing that, people, recently there's this Ukraine-Russia thing, and even the Russian soldiers are saying we don't care for these medals, we just want to go back. So who wants to go and risk their life for what? For somebody else's ideology. And then so many people die, and then a few years later it all goes back to the other side again. All this Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram Sudam Sarvabhutanam Gyapamam Shantam Richati. This is a peace formula Prabhupada gave, that if we understand that there is a supreme proprietor, and that is Krishna, and that nothing belongs to any of us, and that he is our well-wishing friend and the controller of everything, then there can be peace. Without that, then we'll simply just be distracting ourselves from the real cure, the real solution. So Prabhupada talks about in the Varnashram system, each ashram and varna gets trained according to the rules of that particular ashram and the duties of that assigned to that ashram. But Prabhupada also says even if one is born a Sudra, they shouldn't be satisfied with being a Sudra, they should try to endeavour for something higher. And particularly in Kali Yuga, then whether one is born in this family or that family, it's considered that everybody is less than Sudra. Even in the Brahmin family, one may be born in a Brahmin family, but unless one, or a Kshatriya family, but unless one has these qualifications, then it cannot be considered to be guna karma vibhaga saha, by guna and by karma, by one's qualities and by one's work. Just like Hridayananda Maharaj, once he was in Bombay, he was giving a lecture to some Indian students, and he was asking them, they were saying that they were Brahmin, he says, so, and some of them, they weren't following Brahminical culture, he says, so if you're eating meat, does that mean that you're still a Brahmin? If you're drinking, alcohol, does that mean that you're a Brahmin? So here, Prabhupada is talking about the importance of that. So, of course, Lord Ramachandra went into exile, and the residents of Ayodhya were so much in love with Lord Ramachandra that they all wanted to go with him. The whole city of Ayodhya, everybody wanted, well, if you're going in exile, we'll go as well. So because they couldn't bear to be without Lord Ram, even Bharat, he was like, I don't want to be the king, let Ram be the king. Everybody loved Lord Ram because this is natural, they're all eternal associates of the Lord. And because the Lord was such a perfect example, and even now, then the residents of India, they long for Ram Raj, isn't it? They want the kingdom of Ram still to be ruling, but it requires proper qualified devotees of Lord Ram to do that. And if we look at the ISKCON devotees, then they're the best qualified to do that, so hopefully in due course of time, that will come back. And so Bharat was told, and the inhabitants of Ayodhya were told, okay, they followed Lord Ram right to the forest, and he says, okay, now go back. He says, my order, go back there, and I'll be back in 14 years. And Bharat, you look after everything. And Bharat didn't even go back into the city. He stayed in the outskirts, in the outside of the city, and he lived in like some kind of mud or straw hut, and he lived an extremely austere life. He worshipped Lord Ram's shoes every day, and basically he was just considered himself like just keeping Lord Ram's throne worm from coming back. And then, of course, we have the pastime of Ravan, who kidnapped Sita, and then he was vanquished by Lord Ram. And then later on, the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya signifies Diwali, the victory of good over evil. Just like if you come into Glasgow Airport or any airport at night time, you see the runway is lit, so the plane can see where it's going. So this is what happened on the Flower airplane, which they came back from Lanka. They landed, and the the place was lit. That's right, isn't it? It was lit by Diwas and their Deepas, little ghee lamps. So even though it was so difficult for Lord Ram to be separated from his devotees, difficult for a devotee to be separated from Lord Ram, and he did it to show that this is the proper thing to do, even despite whatever difficulties. So that example is there for us, regardless of whatever difficulties we may encounter in our devotional service, then we carry on with it anyway. We do our best. Nehabekramana, Sosti, Prativaya, Nivijate, Swapam Apya Sadharmasha, Traite Mahato Bayat. That in this endeavour, there's no loss or diminution, and a little advancement can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear, which means not entering back into the samsara, cycle of birth and death, where it can be a long time before we get a human form of life. So simply by some devotional service, by chanting holy name and taking some prasadam and sharing Krishna consciousness with others, then we can become quickly part of the Lord's entourage, and then enter into the Lord's pastimes as well. So we'll just stop there, and we'll ask Vrinda to sing Raghupati. And just for about 10 minutes, please. She's just going to sing it out there. In here, Vrinda. You got cold feet all of a sudden. And then Raghunath's also going to speak on how many? 23, is it? Is it 23 there is? 25. So there's 25 life lessons from the Ramayana, from Lord Ramchandra, that Raghunath Maharaj has noted, and Raghunath's going to speak on a few of those. Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan ki, Shri Shri Kodnitai Mahaprasad ki, Shri Prabhupada ki.
Jai. Raghupati Raghava Rajara Patita Pavana Sitara Raghupati Raghava Rajara Patita Pavana Sitara Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Nagavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Nagavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Nagavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Nagavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Nagavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Raghupati Nagavarajaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Sitaram, Sitaram, Patita Pavana Sitaram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Announced everyone that you're going to chant for 10 minutes and then we're going to get going.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Kodani Jaya, Jaya Maya Kodani Jaya, Kodani Jaya, Jaya Maya Kodani. Jaya Chito Tina, Jaya Chito Tina, Chito Tina, Jaya Chito Tina. Shri Kirtala Ki, Shri Vasudev Bhagwan Ki, Shri Prabhupada Ki.
So I was going to speak about 25 lessons from Ramayana, but we ran out of time. But there is always an essential lesson that we can approach and learn in a short amount of time. As Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying that the truth, the eloquence is truth spoken concisely. So I hope I got right to the essence. So really the most essential lesson that we can learn from Lord Ram is to take full shelter of him and surrender. And it is a very beautiful prayer that Lord Ram himself tells us in Ramayana. So I would like to suggest that we could recite it together, this prayer, because it's very, very powerful actually. By taking shelter of Lord Ram, he sees the intention of our prayer. And you can see again in the scripture that the Lord is Gunagrahi Janardan. Janardan means one who is well-wisher, and Gunagrahi, one who sees good qualities. So is able to extract the essence from our mood. So this essential prayer, if we can recite, it actually can transform our life sooner or later. The Lord will make some special arrangement for us to deliver us. But we just need to put a little bit of sincerity in this prayer. So I would like to read it first, and then would like to ask devotees to put as much sincerity in the heart and reciting it together. So this is Lord Ram himself is vowing. It is my vow that if one only once seriously surrenders unto me by saying, my dear Lord, from this day I am yours, and prays to me for courage, I shall immediately award courage to that person, and he will always remain safe from that time on. This is Lord Ramayana from Valmiki Ramayana, Yudhakanda. So there's the two parts to this, you can call it transcendental exercise that we like to do. So first one is the recitation that from this day I am yours. And the second part that we have to do it individually after the arati is actually to pray for the Lord for protection. And of course, we're going to recite Narasimha Pranam, but you can also meditate on Lord Ram as well at that time to pray for the Lord's courage. And ultimate protection, of course, that he gives is to a pure devotional service, that no matter what happens in our life, so many reversals are there in Ramayana, that no matter what happens, that we maintain the spirit, no matter how many choices we are given, we maintain the spirit of pure devotion, that I am yours, my dear Lord, and please give me courage to reach your lotus feet. So let's recite this together. And it is a vow of the Lord. He vows by reciting this, the Lord vows himself, and his desire never perishes, because it's the Supreme Lord. Whatever he desires, that gets fulfilled. So as simple as that, so I'd like to invite devotees to recite this together. My dear Lord, from this day, I am yours. And then the final part is you have to pray for the courage after the arati. Okay. Shri Ramachandra Bhagavana ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Bol. Shishikoda Nitai Maya Purushashi ki Jai. Shiva Jayo Jaya Gaurachande Arati Kochoba भवानी जगमन लोभ Dakine nitai chan Bame gadadhara Nikate advaita shrini Vasa Chatradara Gosi Ache Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Arati Koren Brahma Adi Devagane Narahari Adi Kori Chamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Goshadigaya Santa Baje Ganta Baje Baje Karatala Madhura Mridanga Baje Paramarasala Shanta Baje Ganta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shanka Baje Ganta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Shanka Baje Ganta Baje Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Madhur 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 Baje Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Bahu Koti Chandrajini Vadana Ujvala Gala deshe banamala, Ore jalamala, Shiva Shuka Narada, Preme Gadagada, Bhaktive Noda Deke, Gaurara Sampada, Shiva Jayo Jaya Gaura Chande, Aratika Shobha. Janavi Tatavani Jagamana Loba Goranger Arotik Shoba Jagajana Manaloba Gauranger Arotik Shoba Jagajana Manaloba Gauranger Arotik Shoba Jagajana Manaloba Jagajana Manaloba Jagajana Manaloba Jagajana Manaloba Jagajana Manaloba Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Koda Nitai Mayapur Shashi, Koda Nitai Jaya Mayapur Shashi. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Prabhupada Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Nityananda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Nityananda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Kodanitai Mayapur Sashi, Kodanitai Jaya Mayapur Sashi. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajya Kacharya Ashtottara Shata Shishimada Bhaichara Naravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, DBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Shri Guru Parampara Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Bhata Raghunath, Shri Jiva Gopala Bhata Das Raghunath, Shishad Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Shri Giri Govardhana Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Shri Shikhodanitai Mayapur Shashi Ki Jai, Shri Tulsinath Maharaja Ki Jai, Shri Giridhari Lala Ki Jai, Shri Nishingadev Bhagavana Ki Jai, Shrimati Vrinda Devi Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Haribol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Would you like to say? Just sing it for now.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Praladaladaine. Hiranyakashipo Rakshaha. Yato yato. Vishwan. Sankana Kalaye. Ito Nisimho Parato Nisimho. Yato yato yamitato Nisimho. Nahir Nisimho Ridaye Nisimho. Narasimha Madim Sharana Prapadye. Tavakara Kamalavare Nakam Abhuta Shringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanuvringam Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadrita Narahare Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Nisimhadev Jaya Nisimhadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Shri Srinadi Bhagavan ki jai Prahlad Maharaj ki jai Jai Kura Premanandi ki jai.
Thanks everyone for attending the second Ram Navami and Kodnitai Pishashi anniversary of the arrival in Scotland, online and here. Thanks everyone for attending. And the next part of the program is prasad. So if anyone's watching this at home, I hope you've cooked a feast to offer to your pictures or deities at home. And hopefully the next festival, which is Shri Nrsimha Chaturdashi, then everything will be somewhat accessible again for everyone to come and visit and celebrate Shri Nrsimha Chaturdashi together. Until then, ISKCON Guru Vinda Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki, Shri Kodnitai Mahaprashashi Ki, Shri Ramachandra Bhagavan Ki, Shri Sri Ram Lakshmana Ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.